by. Yeah.
I hope they're almost.
Yeah, I just.
No, it's, so it's. Zoom.
We're to the air.
Everyone is being recorded. Recording is starting.
And so, what's that?
I just time we were being.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
I
I
see
keep it
them,
my.
they're not jumping on.
My friend is, my friend.
There are.
So.
What's 9 attendees.
But he's the guy.
So we don't see them.
Come on, send.
No, I don't see any.
4 years.
They will use it, that's because it's a
But
button.
maximum.
Oh, it's a button. Okay, yeah, so they can hear us.
But I don't.
Like, can we test to see, do they talk back to us?
We need the commissioners to be able
Because every
to.
time I'm slowing down.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure your audio coming back is happening.
See, in the beginning,
is allowed. So Mark can talk.
Mark, can you hear us?
See, in the beginning.
Mark Patterson, oh, asked to unmute.
Right.
And then there's Mark Browning in there.
I can hear.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Alright, please, again, I just wanna turn on.
Mark Patterson, can you speak up again?
Hello, it's me.
Okay,
Oh. Hear you. We're trying to get everybody on board.
so this is a Zoom webinar, which is significantly more secure than what we were using previously. So the way it's gonna work is people have to raise their hands and then we allow them to speak and then their screens will come up.
And we
No,
don't have a mic on the table.
The mic is right above you,
Oh, okay,
so that bar is your sound and your mic,
okay.
yeah,
so yeah.
I just wanted to make sure people could hear us. I know that Mark did respond when I said, Mark, can you speak up again?
They should be able to, it's perfect, the mic is right above you three,
Okay,
so.
so everybody's on that list now can hear us? Yes.
Should,
Okay,
unless they say something.
How do we get heard?
we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so the commissioners are going to be unmuted the whole time, and then for people in the audience. Once we come up on public comments, then you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you so that you can leave a public comment. Can you unmute Tommy Johnson as well? Is Tommy in?
No, I don't see him.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready to start. Chair, are you gonna lead the meeting?
You talking to me, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Give me 1 second as I switch things around here. I'm trying to put my camera on you folks.
Closer.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here this morning for the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission. I'd like to begin our meeting at this time. Thank you, George, for all the technical obstacles that you have to overcome. Call to order. Ronald Ibarra,
here,
Martha Tournay,
here,
Michael Town, Mark Browning,
Here,
and then myself, Mark Patterson, are here. 4 out of 5 are here and present at this time. Thank you all for being here. I'll take a motion for the minutes of the October 9th, 2025 meeting.
moved.
second,
It's been moved by Mark and seconded by Ronald that we accept the minutes for the October 9th, 2025 meeting. Any discussion at this time? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, all opposed say same. All abstentions. Hearing none, motion passed. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to agenda number 4. I'd like to open up the floor to Director Tommy Johnson at this time. Good morning, Tommy.
I don't see his name on the list.
Yeah, we're not seeing him in the meeting. I
Yeah.
just texted him though, so maybe we can come back to him if he joins. If that works for you.
Okay, let's bypass the agenda item number 4 to see perhaps DCR is having some technical difficulties at this time. So moving on to agenda number 5, I'd like to call on the famous oversight coordinator, Christine Johnson,
Wow.
to provide us with an overview of her monthly report. Go ahead, Kristen.
Thank you, Chair. October was a very busy month for us, but I'll try to get through this quickly. Unfortunately, I do have 2 deaths in custody to announce first. On Thursday, November 6, 2025, at approximately 9:12 a.m., a male in custody, 62 years old, was found unresponsive in his cell. 911 was called, CPR was immediately conducted, and around 9:34 a.m., Eloy EMS took over life-saving measures. Unfortunately, at 9:50 a.m., the individual was pronounced deceased. An autopsy will determine the official cause of death. I just noticed that I didn't put this in there, but that happened at Saguaro. I will make that edit to make sure that's in the report. And then a second death on Thursday, November 6, 2025, at approximately 2:33 p.m., a Hawaiian male, 38 years old, was found unresponsive in his cell. Staff immediately responded, conducted CPR, and alerted 911 emergency services. EMS arrived around 2:56 p.m. and continued life-saving measures. Unfortunately, at 3:51 p.m., this individual was pronounced deceased. This death does appear to be a suicide, but an autopsy report will determine the official cause of death. And I apologize again for leaving out the facility. That one happened at Jalapa. And I will be sure to edit this report to add that in. Of course, so our staff had visited Women's Community Correctional Center to go and visit the Transforming Animal and Incarcerated Individuals' Lives, also known as the TAIL Project. WCCC got some kittens, and so our staff got to go and play with the kittens and talk with incarcerated individuals and hear how that's impacting them. They really love the program. It seems really helpful, and so we appreciate DCR's efforts on that. For events attended, we have a few different things here. So first of all, the House Committee on Public Safety informational briefing on compassionate release. So this was one that we had a visitor from Chicago come. Her name is Molly Crane, and she's an Equal Works Fellow with the Families for Justice Reform, otherwise known as FAM. It's a national organization that really helps states just make their system better. And one of their areas of expertise is compassionate release. So we were lucky enough to have Molly come and present on what compassionate release is, why it's important, how it impacts Hawaii's incarcerated individuals. And so we really appreciated that opportunity to have her come. And again, this was to help legislators and also the general public understand the importance of compassionate release. There is a bill that will be coming out this legislative session that was authored by the Commission, the Hawaii Paroling Authority, and also the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation collectively. And so we're really hoping that that will get passed this session.
Now, Santiago.
We will after the report.
Oh, I think it-
First, the next one was Restrictive Housing Legislative Work Group. This was October 16th. Chair Patterson, did you want to cover this as a member of that group?
For the conferences?
No, the Restrictive Housing Working Group.
I've only went to that one meeting because I was at the conference the last month. Do you have anything else to report other than the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners, we did meet for the initial gathering of the group led by Senator Elefante and Representative Bella. And it was just a basic understanding of what our task was to be in terms of reviewing and analyzing and assessing the restrictive housing policies of the department, as well as go over the the mandate for which the group was founded. That's pretty much all I have to report at this time. Kristen?
Thank you, Chair. And just so the general public knows, this working group, which we're very happy to be a part of, they're tasked with reviewing, considering, and identifying laws, policies, and procedures regarding restrictive housing for members of vulnerable populations. So Chair Patterson is definitely the most qualified to be a part of that working group. Next, we have conferences. Our team actually attended 2 conferences in October. One of them was the National Reentry Workforce Collaborative 2025 conference. And again, I just wanted to give you an opportunity, Chair, if you wanted to cover this one.
I think it was a great learning experience to understand reentry as defined across the nation in the different jurisdictions that are working in it. I was pretty impressed with some of the organizations that had contributed to putting this conference together. Specifically, a lot of the banks. There were banks that were there. I'm sorry, I just went blank on the bank that was a huge contributor. A lot of the large foundations and financial institutions that invest in these conferences are really looking at it from a point of reentry and vocational skill training. Yeah, that if they can go into this quote unquote market of being able to train individuals coming out into the many professions that will be available, that they would benefit as a bank, because then you would create individuals who are taxpayers and adding to the economy. So I thought that was interesting that they were present at the conference, large banks, large foundations, as well as individuals who are currently in reentry or have went through the reentry process, who have been very successful and are seen throughout either in their own organizations or part of the leadership of these foundations or within the banks themselves, that are making huge impacts and are becoming the trailblazers and the role models for others coming from behind them in terms of reentry and how to build a system nationally that can recognize that everybody coming out of the correctional or penal systems have talents that can still be utilized in our communities. So that was a great conference. Myself and our reentry specialist, Kimberly Takata, went up there, and we made a lot of contacts. And no doubt, my recommendation will be that the commission become a member of this organization, so that we can stay in tune with what national practices are being done across the nation. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a great opportunity for us. This is the first conference of that kind that our team has attended, and so we're excited to attend more. The next conference that we attended was hosted by the National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, otherwise known as NACOL. This was a great conference. It was a week long. We had our whole team go, including Chair Patterson. And what was interesting is that they had really specific breakout forums. So they had a breakout forum and training specifically for investigators. They had one specifically for executive leadership, and then also one for boards and commissions. So it was very relevant for all of us. And then in addition to learning a ton, we also were able to share a lot of what our office is doing here in Hawaii, and we were very proud of that. We presented in 4 different sessions. One was called Surviving the Storm, Building and Rebuilding Correctional Oversight in the Face of Political Pressure. This we did in collaboration with Minnesota, that was actually shut down completely and then years later was reopened. Chair Patterson presented on de-escalation in a custody setting. I presented on accountability in crisis, how oversight can drive solutions to correction staffing shortages. That's where we presented on our huge correction staff report. And then the last one was doing oversight after doing time, how lived experience is reshaping correctional oversight practices. And our reentry oversight specialist, Kimmy Takata, presented in that. It was a great conference for us. For reports posted, we posted 2 reports last month. One of them was regarding the Women's Community Correctional Center site observations. The second was a report covering Oahu Community Correctional Center site observations. In addition to that, we also included in the oversight coordinator report, the department's response to all of those recommendations that came out from those reports, so please take a look at that. Lastly, I think this is last, we have projects, so our complaint management system is almost done, which is amazing. So we're really excited about that. This is a project that has taken an incredible amount of our time, for the implementation process, but once we have it up and running, it's really gonna help us with our complaint process and our investigation, so we're very excited to almost be through that. And I believe that is it for my presentation.
You were gonna ask Chanel Santiago, because she went to go to.
Yes, so Chair, if you can open it up to public comment and then commissioners can discuss if they would like to.
We have any public comments or testimonies on the oversight coordinator's report at this time? We're open for any suggestion. I may not be able to see their hands. Martha, can you
Yes, Chanel Santiago, Kiko's granddaughter. Her
Okay,
hand
go
is
ahead.
up.
Got it.
Aloha, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Aloha, mahalo for allowing me to speak. My name is Chanel Santiago, and I'm here on behalf of my family to share a few words about my grandpa, Norman Chico Santiago. My grandpa has been incarcerated for over 55 years. During that time, he's become known not for what led him there, but for the person he's become on the inside. Over time, he's earned the respect of both ACOs and fellow inmates for his guidance, kindness, and willingness to help others. I've met former inmates and others who have crossed paths with my grandpa during his incarceration, and every single one of them has had wonderful things to say about him. He's now in his mid-80s, and his health continues to decline. It's painful for our family to know he's aging thousands of miles away at Saguaro, far from home, culture, and Ohana. After so many years, it's clear that he has changed and that he continues to make a positive difference, even from the inside. At this point in his life, we believe the most compassionate and reasonable path forward is to allow him the chance to come home. He's shown that people can grow, change, and continue to contribute even in these circumstances. Again, mahalo for taking the time to listen and for all the hard work that you all do. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story, Chantel. We really appreciate it. And I think that again, this highlights the importance of compassionate release. So we really appreciate you sharing that with us.
sorry. Martha,
There are
is there
more
anybody?
hands up. There are more hands up.
So
Go
just-
ahead. I can't see the hands. If you can go ahead and call upon them.
Yeah, we got it.
Nina,
Nina?
say aloha.
Hi. Excuse me. I'm actually showing up on behalf of my incarcerated partner. His name is Reese Tuleole Gaffman. I believe I reached out to a few of you on his behalf, and I just wanted to take this time to thank you all if you have familiarized with his situation. So the situation is that I believe, and after all the research and people I spoke to, that he was essentially unqualified for the flight that he was on, given that he was about to face the parole board 10 days later. So fast forward, he was transferred to Saguaro, held in segregation for 21 days, and then he was then transferred to South Carolina and was held in segregation for 35 days. And since then, he has been moved to a different yard. He's currently on a work line that he doesn't get paid for. He gets no compensation for working. He has no Hawaii resources. I'm his only contact. And I've been in contact with Mr. Johnson as well as Mr. Jimbo, and I was advised to get a power of attorney to be able to assist Reese with things that he needs done here in Hawaii. And um, I've done that. I've acquired his power of attorney. I've reached out, to acquire certain requests on behalf of Reese, and I've been denied at every turn. I've been working with Hawaii Paroling Authority, PO Sierra, to come up with a very safe and very plausible parole plan for him. This is his first violation. He is affiliated. Let's keep. I would like to keep everything transparent. Um, and the talks that I have with him, excuse me, are very hard because you went from a man that had a plan to a man that doesn't even know what's gonna happen to him because he can't contact Hawaii. He can't. There's he hasn't had a video visit in almost 4 months because the visitation process over there takes 15 and a half weeks, right? Um, he can't reach out to Hawaii because it's a 6-hour difference. And that's only if they're capable of receiving calls from a facility.
Nina,
And
this is
yes,
Martha. I want to interrupt for a
Sorry.
moment. And that the comment should be related to the report that was presented. Tommy
okay,
Johnson is
sorry.
now on the line, and Tommy Johnson's subject will be the interstate compact. So if we can have Tommy present and then you can ask questions.
Okay. I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
And let's see if anybody else has questions about the report first before we go to Tommy. Would you pull up now, Leah?
Oh, thank you. My question also pertains to compacts.
Oh, okay. And then, are there any more hands up for the report?
No.
No, okay. So let's move on to Tommy then. We skipped over you, Tommy, because you weren't here when we first convened.
Yeah, I was having some connectivity issues. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So with the interstate compact process, there's three ways, three different methods for interstate compact. There's inmates can apply voluntarily to transfer to another state. That's an application fee of $200 non-refundable that goes to the judiciary. And there's no guarantee that they would be accepted by the receiving state. Two of the main criteria is to have family members in that state and or a verified employment. The receiving state would do those verifications. And then they would then say yay or nay to the request. A parolee can also request it, same process, $200 non-refundable fee to the judiciary. In both cases, it is the receiving state who decides approval or not. Just as with the inmate, the parolee, there's no guarantee the person will be accepted. Same criteria apply, family member in the state or verified employment. The receiving state would do the investigation on their end and then determine if they're going to accept the application or not. The second way is a one-for-one swap, where we could take a high-profile case or management issue case from another jurisdiction, and then we would then send one person to them in a swap. In those cases, there's no cost because each state would then borne the cost of the swap. They would just be, it'll be a wash. And then there's an involuntary prisoner transfer for interstate compact, in which case the state, meaning Hawaii, if we send somebody out involuntarily to another state, then we pay the daily rate to house that person there, treat them, feed them. That's usually done for high profile cases for the person's own good, or if the person poses some type of management risk or safety risk to the facilities here in Hawaii. Those are the three different ways interstate compacts work. There is no application fee for the one-on-one swap or the involuntary transfer. That's it in a nutshell.
Was there anything else you wanted to report on, Tommy?
Yep. So let me go to my notes here. There's no change to OCCC. I did ask the Department of Transportation, the Director, Ed Sniffen, for some consideration with respect to relocating the KCCC, the Kauai Community Correctional Center. While we have the money to purchase the land and we're doing our due diligence, we still have to secure the funding to build the facility. And they're projected to start the highway widening project in about 2 years. I don't think we'll be done by then. So I'll be having some further discussions with Director Sniffen. The good thing is that money that they set aside is actually, it's going to be done with state money, not federal money. So there shouldn't be an issue, but I'll have some discussions with him. With respect to OCCC, we have decided to hire what's called an owner's rep for the project to keep everything on track. We're working with DAGS now. We put together what's called a POG, a policy team that consists of myself, Director Sharon Hurd, the DAGS Comptroller Keith Regan, some of his senior staff and my senior staff, to make sure we are all on the same page with respect to how we're proceeding with the OCCC project. That's it for OCCC. There are no updates to HCCC. There are no updates for MCCC, except that the dorm project is underway. As you know, build a new 48-man dorm there. There's no update there was nothing happening at Waiaba. We did do a mental health fair, a wellness day, we called it, for the mental health patients in our custody and care at Women's on Monday. I went there for that. It was actually pretty good. They put on a show. It was a talent show. So that was actually pretty good. Other than that, that's the only update I have so far, unless the commission has some questions.
I have a question, Tommy. This is Ron.
Sure.
You want to do some? Go ahead, Ron. My bad.
The $200 application fee, is that waivable?
No, that's paid to the judiciary. That's how they pay for the interstate compact process. So normally, the interstate compact administrator is an administrator with the judiciary, and the deputy compact administrator is normally the branch chief or another designated employee at the Hawaii Patrolling Authority. So the $200 application fee offsets the cost, because the judiciary they don't get any funding from the legislature, additional funding to run the interstate compact process.
Or it's not waivable?
No.
Okay.
Tommy, I think most of the comments we've gotten from the public or families have to do with the involuntary transfers. Can you explain under what circumstances that the state would ask that someone be taken by another state against the will of that particular person?
Right. So if we believe that the person is in danger and we didn't believe we'd keep them safe, we would involuntarily transfer them. We would also involuntarily transfer them if they pose some type of threat to the facility, if they were a shot caller in a gang, if they were a management problem, assaulting staff, repeated assault to other inmates. Those are the types that we would do involuntary transfers for.
So Tom, if you're doing involuntary transfer with a shot caller, would you try first to do a one-to-one swap?
Yes, we would try, but in the end, if the state did not take the person, we would try. We have multiple states. I want to make that clear that we have as part of Western Interstate Compact. So we would try to do a one-for-one swap. When we do the one-for-one swap, we don't take the incoming inmate here. They stay in Arizona.
Okay. And so again, if it is an involuntary transfer, it would still require the state that they're going to accept them, correct?
Yes, they have to accept them. Yes.
They have to accept them, or?
What I mean is they have to okay the transfer for us.
Oh,
to
they have
send
to,
them.
okay.
Yeah.
Because again, I think that when the public speaks, that maybe what they're interested in is the involuntary transfers. They should spoken first, right, the public before me. Yeah. I did it out of order. The public was supposed to speak first. I'm sorry. So now it's time, Mark Patterson, can we open it up to the public now for any questions they may have? And again, to the public, the questions have to be directed to the commissioner, not to the director of corrections.
And please keep it to 2 minutes or as close as possible, and that way it allows more people to be able to speak. Nina?
Nina?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. I probably needed that break to pull myself together. But so I guess my question would be, if they are allegedly a shot caller, is that something that has to have direct proof, or are we, or I'm sorry, or is the state just going based on what others, in the unit say, given the fact that they're affiliated? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think there's ever a true way to distinguish who's who. And I understand that there is a gang issue in our facilities. And I have done a lot of speaking on Luke's behalf, and what I gathered is he wasn't a managerial problem. He didn't pose a threat, and he was pretty much described as a pretty respectable person. So this swap, which I believe, and he also feels, is a target because of an alleged status he holds. And keep in mind, Reef has been incarcerated for, on about 20 years. So he has been in the system for a while. So he does have some type of connection to individuals in there. And I asked many times, like, can you explain to us why, so that I can explain to him, with no explanation. And then it just seems that we keep getting prevented, to assist him. He goes to the board this month, and we want to know how we can help him, because he has no Hawaii resources in South Carolina. He's completely alone. So that's my concern, his mom's concern, and his situation has just been very, I feel there was a lot of stuff done wrong when it came to him. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't feel that, because I am a justice impacted individual. So I understand the system. And it just doesn't add up for me in his situation. And he's trying really hard, to stay positive. So,
So
thank
Nina,
you.
I'm gonna try and summarize that what you would like us to explore with the department is how they confirm someone is actively involved with a gang at the time they're making this decision to do an involuntary transfer to another state.
Yes,
Okay.
because Reef has stated to me that when he was violated on parole, when he was returned to the facility, he let intake know that he was an inactive affiliate, and they still, against his wishes, placed him back into a gang module.
Okay, so we will ask that question of the department through written communication.
You.
Thank you.
Mason?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. First of all, thank you all for your services and, your heart and all of that. Really appreciate it. So my question, so my husband, okay, if we're not requesting to go to any other state or anything, but he falls into this category of safety concerns with the affiliation, all of that. Us out here, the family, we're already having to deal with threats. My son got mobbed, just all of that, but God is good, we're all good. My concern is, oh my God, my brain just went blank. My concern to Tommy with the swap is if we was to send my husband to do some type of productive incarceration time, because right now he's been sitting in the hole how many years already, right? Due to safety, all of that. And he already served his mandatory minimum. Now we doing the time for the parole, whatever. But if he's not the shot caller, right, but yet affiliated, how do you guys determine on housing the men, so they can do a productive time serving instead of just sitting in a hole, and the mental state, and you know what I mean? All of that. That's my question. Thank you.
And Mason, I just want to ask you, your husband or your partner, are they in protective custody? Or
Yes.
safety? Okay, wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Martha, that's something else that we can add to Nina's inquiries that we can also ask in a written format to the DCR.
Okay, good, thank you.
Leah?
Thank you. The department has said that there's no way for a person to renounce or leave a gang label once they've been tagged on intake as an STG member, so that's security threat group. Even if they meet with the STG coordinator and clearly say they've walked away, as was the case with the last speaker, they stay marked in offender track as active, often
Yeah, I
just
need to find out, you guys use the shrink wrap. Do you have the chair or you just use the shrink wrap on a person?
Tommy, can you mute, please? Oh, we mute, okay.
Sorry.
So I hope the shrink wrap was fixed, but back to the comment, and I hope the watch was stopped on that. Sometimes it's really hard for us to get up here and say something, so that was a little unnerving to know that Tommy Johnson wasn't listening. So I would like to start the clock again. To the point of Mason Koa, who's just spoke by way of his wife, when someone is in protective custody, like Mason Koa, like my brother, and they're being involuntarily transferred under an interstate compact, but they also carry that STG label, which the department has no way to renunciate. I'm wondering which classification prevails, the protective custody or the STG. Secondly, since the department has already admitted there's no written policy or process for removing or renouncing the STG tag, they do not provide tattoo removal, for example, in emergency cases where there were court cases and state witnesses compelled to testify, even when that person has personally debriefed verbally with the STG coordinator and has been disaffiliated. Because of that tattoo, they are basically branded with no way to pull that back. So in other words, does protective custody still protect them, or does the STG tag override it? And in the case of these overstate transfers, I understand that it is being vetted for prisons that don't have any other Hawaii inmates. However, are you vetting it for known enemies of that gang? My family member is not from an STG affiliation in state. So is that being handled appropriately? Are they being vetted nationally according to standards that are national and not just based on the gang intelligence in DCR, which is frankly not very intelligent? Thank you.
Thank you. Nina.
If I can add to that. Mark, if I may add to that, I suppose then the question would be, how is the STG determination made? So is the considerations that you point out considered at the initial determination? How is it determined? So would the inmate have the opportunity to present all of those evidence that he or she is not a member of a gang? even though at one point he or she was.
Hello. Hi, thank you for I would like to just add to Mrs. Poa and Mrs. Kinney on the out of state situation. So um Reef is labeled in STG individual. And sadly he stated many times that he can never remove that. So when he arrived at South Carolina, once he was released from the evaluation center, he was actually approached by a group of individuals from South Carolina. Because he's the only Hawaii inmate, he was actually being accused of being some kind of undercover. And, you know, essentially that's putting him in a situation where he's either going to have to defend himself or allow himself to be harmed. So he had to share his personal document with these individuals that he doesn't feel he should have. So my concern too is we're placing these individuals, our loved ones, in these facilities that are not equipped to hold a Hawaii inmate. You know, and according to the out of state compact policies that I have researched, they still fall under, if, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the jurisdiction of Hawaii. So they should have some kind of contact to where they'll have the Hawaii support. But we, and you know, from what I'm hearing from so many others, they don't have that. You know, like I'm being denied access to copies of his program certificates by Mr. Jimbo. And you know, sometimes when I talk to him, he shares that he doesn't feel comfortable there because he's alone. There's no support, and his mental state is, I can tell it's waning. You know, his faith in the system is waning. And that's sad. That's a really sad picture to see, you know? So I want to know what can we do to continue to keep them positive, because you keep someone alone for so long, they're not gonna, you know, they're gonna start to alter. And I don't want to see that happen for anybody. You know, he's his mental Reef's mental state is very delicate now because he just feels like he was targeted, you know, as an affiliate. Um, and I keep trying every day to keep him positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. I think we also get concerned about people losing hope. I see Mike Town does have his hand up. Mike, can you unmute, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I've tried to be on from the get-go, but I'm on Zoom. Homeboys has a lot to say, and I'm sure that I know that some of our commissioners in the chair know about Homeboys. Father Greg Boyle and tattoo removal, gang, how to jump in and out of the gangs, and so I'm not giving advice to anybody, but I just, for the record, I'm very impressed with Homeboys, and I don't know what it's a practice. They have practices that are stunning in many ways. So I appreciate what I heard from our last testifier.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner?
Kaleho?
Yeah, you can hear.
I can hear you, Kaleho.
Oh, all right.
Mahalo.
Yeah, so my question is there a process within the correction system where you can like request to be, to get that stigma off your record?
I think that's what we need to explore with the department, because a number of people have brought that up, but that's one of the issues. There was previous gang affiliation, there no longer is gang affiliation, but they're still being gigged with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will follow up on that.
Wow.
Mahalo, Kaleho. So, fellow commissioners, you know, to kind of put a summary to everything that's been said, there's no doubt that everything that was said today is important, legitimate concerns that we may have. I don't think at this time well, as the commission, we really need to begin to have conversations with the oversight coordinator on how to begin a process on looking into the concerns that were talked about today, reviewing the policy and coming up with some kind of recommendations. You know, just listening to what we heard today, that it may be a lengthy process. I do know we do have the jail investigator, and the prison investigator starts in a couple weeks. That may be something at that time to have two people working on these issues, but it will take time. But I think we need to begin to have a commitment among ourselves that some kind of review and assessment and evaluation of the STG program and the interstate impact. The interstate be looked upon, yeah, and reported back to us, yeah, so that we can make some sincere recommendations to DCR and what our findings were, and work together to make the improvements that people are looking for at this particular point in time. Any comments?
Yeah, it's Commissioner Browning. I just want to reiterate that I appreciate very, very much what all those who spoke about this issue said, and how difficult it must be. I can only imagine. And I agree with Commissioner Chair in terms of what he said regarding the process. I mean, from a fundamental sort of fairness standpoint, which is usually called due process. And I must confess, I need to be much more educated on this issue. But every system in our government, in our systems of government, provide for some sort of process that does not condemn someone with a particular label or a particular consequence without some sort of review or opportunity to work themselves or work their way to a place where there's an opportunity to be able to reassert certain rights. So I just wanted to echo my support for all the speakers as well as the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any final comments, commissioners?
I think we're all on the same page on this, Mark. We agree with the comment just made by Mark Browning, by Mike Town. We're on the same page.
That's where where our commitment will be at this particular meeting in time, and perhaps we can have more to report on in the next meeting. But in the meantime, we will have some discussion, Kristen, and bring Tommy into a discussion on how we can begin the process of answering some of those questions that were presented today. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to agenda item number 6. Kristen or Martha?
No, I'm not doing this one. I didn't even look at it completely yet. Okay, Halava Correctional Facility. At the Halava site visit, I was there. Were you there at Halava? Who was with me? Mark, okay. We were there together. I found it to be pretty impressive. The thing that stood out most to me was the learning center, the air conditioning was not working. And what Warden Clooney had done is spread training throughout the facility. So in Correctional Industries area, in what used to be the sewing room, was training was going on in there. I think that was the RDAP program was going on there. In the gym, they had 3 different groups, really 4 different groups, because there was another one in another part of the gym. Also at the parole board hearing room, they're doing classes. And so Warden Clooney made sure that the inmates stayed actively involved with their education. And this is something I've noticed since he's been there, that the Learning Center has not been this active for many, many years. I was really impressed with that. Okay, I'm not prepared to do all this yet, I'm sorry. Didn't read it over.
I think we want to also report out that they're continually working on their electrical issues and plumbing issues in one of the last blocks that they have in terms of their renovation process. A lot of what we saw in terms of the overall structure of Halava seems to pretty much be intact. They finished their back perimeter fence line, are in the process of working on a potential outside recreational component to the facility. And I think, Halava has come a long way since we started visiting 2 years ago. And, I would like to see having been in Halava since the 80s and 90s, their industrial area is not being used with what its potential to be used in terms of vocational training. Really would love to see that come back online. I recall during those time periods that I mentioned, there were up to 200 inmates working in there on a daily basis. And I think
Around a
that
whole variety of work lines. I mean, they were working on automotive stuff, they were working
Right.
on print, working on sewing. There were many different things they were working on.
they're building furniture for the state. So, that's another avenue we can have a discussion in terms of the what's going on with correctional industries as a vocational a program to prepare the men for reentry. And of course, that's a whole another issue we could talk about. But other than that, Halava seems to be probably one of the better maintained facilities in the state at this particular point in time. So very impressed with the warden and his overseeing of all their capital improvement projects. I did see that they were building a wellness center for their staff underneath their medical unit. And I know that whole medical area is still being pinpointed for some improvement as well. So very happy with our tour of that facility.
Mark, the wellness center, wasn't it in the old Sallyport or something, the automotive that they were doing it? It wasn't
It was-
underneath.
It was by intake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because my
Like-
understanding is the intention is to expand the medical unit underneath the current medical unit, is that correct?
Yeah, that's to the side of the wellness center outside. We went, there's a huge space underneath the medical unit. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to make another comment about the medical unit. Flo, who is like their chief psychologist, where the facility is lacking, as all others, is in mental health services. No question about that. But I must say, I'm still impressed with the dedication of the staff that is there. I think Flo, he knows his stuff right and left. Knows what's going on, knew all the patients, whether they be mental health patients or medical patients. And Monica, also one of the social workers there, they clearly are paying very close attention to the needs of these offenders or these people that are locked up in the medical unit. And I was really impressed with the efforts they made, even though they are lacking the adequate staff to do the job that they need to do. Shut up, Mark, you can talk again.
No, that's good. I think that was a good report. And those of you online, you can find it on the website if you want to read more into it. But like I said, for a 1,000-bed facility, it's moving in the right direction to maintain its physical structure. And again, hats off. I mean, their entire program area was shut down, and they pivoted and they got programs running throughout the facility. Yeah, and that's a plus when we normally when the norm has always been just to shut the programs down if the rooms are not available. The warden and his staff adjusted, and they're running full staff. And I believe when we were walking around, the individuals that were participating in the different programs were very appreciative of the warden to allow them to continue their programming. So hats off to him again.
As Mark and I were walking to the back of the facility where the outdoor rec area is, The outdoor rec area is a very large area and it has been rarely used, so I asked Mark, because he was there at the beginning of the opening of Halava, how often it was used in the beginning, and he said maybe a couple of months. And that place was built, completed in 1989, so that's 35 years ago, maybe a couple of months. And I think that Warden Clooney is trying very hard to create an outdoor rec area again.
Thank you, commissioners, for this item, agenda item. Today, the commissioners will be going to Kulani, up the hill there, from there, and hope to hear a report about Kulani come next meeting.
We also have to allow for public comment.
Yeah, I'm moving on right now. Item number 7 is public comment. I want to open it up for issues that were not presented on the agenda for consideration for commission discussion or agenda on the next meeting. And please, all your concerns are important to us, and I ask that you just keep them below 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Martha, can you call upon the individuals as they raise their hand?
I see Mike Town has his hand up.
Yeah, just a shout out to FAM. It's called, Kristen, help me with the acronyms. Families Against Mandatory Minimums, but do they have a new name, Kristen?
Yes, they do. So yeah, so it used to be Families Against Mandatory Minimums, and now it is Families for Justice Reform.
Families for, I don't know, it's an acronym, but I've been sitting in for the last couple of years. They talk about lockdowns, they talk about STGs, they talk about a whole variety of things, and it's very powerful to hear the people with lived experience talk. And so I encourage anybody listening in to get on the FAM list and then sit in. They're pretty strict about keeping it to an hour, so it doesn't go forever and ever. And I've sure learned a lot. So, and I think Molly Crane, isn't she from FAM, Kristen?
Yes.
Yeah, she was out here, and these folks know what they're talking about, and they go with best practices, and they go with evidence-based practices. So a shout out for FAM and our participation. Thank you.
Mason Colophone.
Okay, so that's so awesome to hear the great fruits that is uh, happening in Halava, right? So, as a partner, you know, knowing that my partner got targeted for a situation, right? And yes, he's old affiliation, right? But now knowing that all these great fruits is happening, but yet this human being that got targeted, yeah, is just sitting in a hole and and like it just breaks my heart. You know what I mean? Like to know that all these great things is happening. So what happens to the ones that gets left behind basically? You know, again, it's so good to hear that the warden is making beautiful movements for our men, you know, but the ones in the hole, they lose out. The more access to AANA meetings, the more access to nothing. Lucky my husband gets to call home once in a while, you know, and for him to call home, that I know that he's alive.
Okay, and we can bring up with the warden about programming for those that are in some type of segregation. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I wouldn't pick up on the iPhone.
Martha, can we testify too?
Sure. Of course you can. So Ron, this is from in the room, Mark.
Can I speak from here?
This is the microphone.
Ron Fujiyoshi, the treasurer of Ohana Hokele. I want to thank the commission for all the work and it makes me feel optimistic. I want to point that 1 year ago, I saw a photo of Christine and Mark Patterson went to a conference in Texas and stood before a poster that said, prison should not be a death sentence, you know? And so it gave me hope that this is the way to focus on, and people who are with sentences of life without parole, there's a way to get out. And so was very excited that you played a part in getting Molly Crane from FAM over and helped to do the briefing before the House Public Safety Commission that Della Bellotti chaired. At that same meeting, although it was a briefing and no time for testimony, there were family members of people with sentences of life without parole there. You heard the testimony of Chanel Santiago, who's the granddaughter of Norman Chico Santiago. And there was also members of the Bo Stanley family that came to participate at that time. And so we were able to have lunch together and in Della Bellatti's office and share the stories. Recently, I saw on Facebook because that the Hawaii Paroling Authority commissioners and staff went to visit Saguaro. And because one of the commissioners is a friend of mine, she said that I hope all of them will be able to get out, you know? So I'm hoping that this gives us more optimism. This coming Thursday, Kalehao Kamau will be going with other cultural practitioners to the opening Makahiki ceremony at Saguaro. And he may be talking about that later, but I wanted to say that, you know, things have been going on well in North America. I hope the same thing will happen in Hawaii, where all of the correctional facilities will be opened up and allow participation. The one thing that I wanted to raise was the department is called now the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I think in terms of rehabilitation, all of the pahau in the facility should be told that they can apply for makahiki, yeah? I think that's rehabilitation, and so the department should be informing the pahau that they can request to have a makahiki. Evidently, they're using, some people are saying nobody has requested, and so therefore there's no makahiki. That's crazy in Hawaii, right?
Offered first,
Right.
yeah.
And so I think that should be corrected if it's not yeah. And then the last thing that I wanted to say is that will the commissioners look into this process? I heard that when pahau go to prison, they choose between what religion they are, and if they say they're Christian, then they cannot go to the makahiki because that's Hawaiian. And to me, I was a pastor of a Hawaiian church. You know, anybody could come to the church. We're not gonna say at the door, if you're not Christian, you're gonna come in. So why is that happening here in Hawaii, where people are saying, I heard for 6 months, they have to keep the same designation, you know? If that's not true, then maybe that can be clarified.
I have never heard of that.
Well, that's what I heard from Saguaro, that if you say you're Christian, then
Oh, maybe
automatically
their rule.
you're not part of the group that's, planning to meet weekly to talk about Hawaiian things, get your Hawaiian identity and together. So I asked the commissioners to please look into that to see whether my information is wrong and, what would be the best way to go forward.
Yeah. We
Thank
should
you.
follow up on that.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Ron. And just a thought, Kristen, before I forget it. I do believe, and there's federal guidelines on this, that you don't have to be Native American to participate in their sweat lodges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost the same principle. Yeah. And I know that the last time we were in Saguaro for Makahiki, I heard them talking about their sweat lodge. Yeah. And if that's, you familiar with sweat lodges?
Yeah.
Mahalo.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Ron, you're spot on. I've been working with a group that wants a chaplaincy project in every single facility. And chaplains are way more than religious. They're like social workers, and it's excellent. And I think you don't need to choose and shouldn't choose under the First Amendment. So that's an issue we need to run with. And I agree with Martha. I was shocked when I heard that, but I've been hearing it off and on for the last couple of years. Thank you.
And just one final thing, and you know, Martha, you might want to correct me. You know, most of the faith-based programming, especially I can speak about Halava and OCCC. The head chaplain was normally Christian, but he managed all religions. He brought in the rabbis, he brought in the clerics, he brought in the Buddhists, he brought in everybody. So you offer programs to individuals to be able to know that it's there and not waiting for somebody to request. Requests also come in, yeah. But sometimes it's also the organizations finding out who that faith-based organizer is, and it normally come out of Volunteer to just approach them and say, "Hey, we want to do this. Can you make an announcement?" Yeah, that's something just came off the top of my head.
We used to have a downtown person who coordinated religious programs, and again, all were welcome. And I remember for Tom, I can't remember his last name, it's Mike Town, it's someone I know, you know, Episcopalian priest, he was our coordinator for a number of years.
Van Kulen.
Van Kulen.
Tom Van Kulen and
He
Art,
did it for
Art
years.
Lee.
Okay.
We
Mark, we have one more question in the room.
And then we
Go
have
ahead.
a on Zoom as well.
My name is Ricky Torres Costano. I am now with this is not a me question. This is a we question. Are we being used as tools of oppressors? Are we being used to oppress our own people? I ask myself that every day. Because I think this is supposed to be a law, a very serious law. You have to keep the prisoner close to his family. But send them away and every time to go away, it's big money for the state. Are we being used to oppress our own people, especially the Kanaka?
From the very beginning, when the decision was made to send people in December of '95, there were a whole cadre of us saying, this is a bad idea.
So
We
why
are
don't-
gonna regret this, is
Why don't
wrong.
we change that bad idea and follow the rule of law? I've been following and society of the rule of law. Amazing minds, amazing lawyers, amazing judges. I try and listen to all their new podcasts, along with Candace Owens, who's a distinct, strong Catholic. Most popular, biggest podcaster in the world, most listened.
I think unfortunately, your question is so existential that I don't have an answer for it.
As a brilliant minds in this room, we should start finding answers and bring home the.
We should bring them, I have no
We
question.
gotta bring them home.
Yeah.
These families are just, I see kids in Kilcott, I say, wow. They go to drugs because their father's not home, their uncle's not home. They come up to your uncle, what you do? They know what I'm doing, and they're just like, oh, how you doing? You just gotta believe in higher power. And make it happen as the power.
Thank you. Still some hands up.
So Dina,
I just have one more inquiry. So Reef does see the board on November 22nd, I mean 26th, excuse me. However, this is a big if, he doesn't get, paroled. My question would be, how can we get the Hawaii DCR mainland branch to, assist in the visiting process? Because his daughter, his mom, and myself would have to wait 15 and a half weeks. And this is coming from South Carolina facility, the visitation officer, Mrs. Robinson, herself, because of the, they're being short-staffed as well. Is that something that DCR should be helping with, or somebody can help with? Because that would mean he would by that time, that would have been 6 months without no type of visual contact for, his family or myself. I'm just curious on if that can be something that, can be addressed.
Okay,
you.
thank you. I just want to remind people, the purpose of public comment at this time or for consideration of issues to bring up at our next meeting. Because we're kind of going off track a little bit here. So there's more hands up, Mark.
I think.
Leah Kini.
Yeah. One comment I have about next time and for this time is there going to be an extension of the compact discussion? I think it generated a lot of good comments, but one of the things I think that one of you said, the commissioners, I believe, brought up due process and constitutional rights. I did want to note that case law, Farmer versus Brennan, speaks about deliberate indifference. And while I know that the Oversight Commission is independent, it's also administratively attached to the Attorney General. My comment for next time is whether or not you folks can consider bringing the Attorney General office into a discussion on how they see their role in protecting witnesses that they compelled to witness in prison gang murder trials, which I think is where some of this is coming from. The system, as you noted, that was put in place in 1990 still has the same policies. And so we're not able to work together. So I think some kind of like immediate connection for them to hear what's going on would be useful, because ultimately, deliberate indifference, it's not just your division or AG or DCR. It's actually the spaces between in which deliberate indifference happens. When constitutional law is broken, the state is put on the spot as a single actor. So I hope that you're hearing me administratively how, this is lacking definitely when the, Attorney General, Deputy Adrienne Dacqua has put a lot of these men on the spot, and yet there's no way for them to disaffiliate from STG. That's an immediate emergency situation right now because you're sending more of them to dangerous situations and you're knowing about it, which meets the farmer standard. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mary Ann?
Mary's son.
I can't quite read it from here.
Hi, I'm Exana. Thank you for acknowledging me at this time. I just had a question on the commutation process. On behalf of the Stanley family, he had applied for commutation in 2008 with Lingo, and then with Abercrombie, and then with EGAY. And all he got back was the same template letter that said to continue to keep your good behavior, and it was declined or denied at this time. So in the process, they said he can only do it once every 4 years, but there's really no policy or any law that backs that up. So now he's in the process of doing another commutation because it's a new governor's Green. And when he went to go get the application, they have a counselor there. So he went and requested for an application, but was told, he received that application, but was told by the Hawaii when they went to visit that he has to write a request to Hawaii Paroling Authority in Hawaii. And after they receive his request, then they'll send him an application, the same application that he has access to in Seguro, to him. And then he fills it out, and then he has to get it notarized and things, and then bring it back. So I wanted to know, is the access process, which is right in an arm's reach, versus having to, because it's a longer process to mail it over, the request, and then the paroling authority mails it back. And I just wanted to know which is the right way to process this fourth commutation. That's my question.
We would probably have to get back to you on that. I don't think I
Okay.
have an answer for you at this particular point in time.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
a good question, though. And it
And
falls
it would help if you would follow up with an email to the commission so we have your question clearly documented, right?
Okay.
Ms. Sana, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Chair.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to those of you who just spoke in the last half hour or so. Again, your thoughts are meaningful. We're going on. Gee, are we approaching 6 years? Can you hear me, Martha?
Yes, we can hear you.
We've been alive since 2019 when I know I was appointed, but we really didn't get going until 2022. And so when you look at the mandate that a lot of the discussion today in terms of moving from a punitive to a therapeutic, I believe we're on our way. We're setting foundation, and a lot of the concerns that you've brought up is part of the journey that we're on right now. But as we continue to build a strong foundation that we can launch meaningful therapeutic reform, it's going to be a day-to-day process, an hour-to-hour process. But as we have these meetings and you continue to tell us especially the family about how you feel and what's going on with your loved ones, it'll help us in our journey to get better at what we're trying to accomplish. But I want everybody to know that we are committed to changing that punitive environment to more therapeutic, and it's not going to happen overnight. We're on our way. We have a great oversight coordinator. We have great commissioners right now, and we're all on the same page, and we believe that we are moving in the right direction. So I want to thank you all for your continuing support. We will be going to Kulani after this meeting today.
Sure, sorry, Kaleho wanted to add one thing, is that okay?
Kaleho?
Yeah, real quick.
Only you, bro. Only you. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, Kavika, Mark, Mahalo. Yeah,
Mahalo.
we appreciate all you guys' commitment toward our efforts and toward helping everything the pendulum get back to the other side of rehabilitation, restoration. And Ohana Pakele continues to be committed to the creation of U'ono within the system. And we appreciate the conversation we having with people within the system. There's some things, hiccups, but I'm positive we're gonna get through them. And we just mahalo all you guys, Kristen, all you guys, for you guys' support and you guys' help. Mahalo.
Thank you, and all of you who continue to work in the community and advocate for the right reasons. And without you folks, we wouldn't be here. So thank you back to you, Kalehau and Ho'opakele there on the Big Island. Once again, we're going to Kulani after this meeting. And then our next meeting will be scheduled for December 11th, back home in Honolulu, at which time we will be seeing and visiting Waiawa Correctional Facility. Thank you, folks, again for coming today, and I wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. So aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.